Welcome back to Midco Sports Magazine. A lot of kids in the Dakotas dream about maybe one day becoming a pro athlete, but they might be surprised that a lot of pro athletes have dreams of moving on and becoming actors or singers or artists one day. And we found a guy like that in Fargo, North Dakota. He's a baseball player. He's got a great eye at the plate, and he's got a great eye for photography. Jesse Hoorelbeke is 6'3" and weighs 250 pounds. He is a ball player and a biker, and you wouldn't look at him and think, this guy could probably take some really nice photos of my wedding. But the truth is, Hoorelbeke can and does do weddings. He is creative and thoughtful and a fantastic photographer who taught himself.
4.5 years ago, I was working for my ex-fiance in a photography studio, and I was the technical guy. I'm kind of a nerd. She was the digital artist. And as I'm watching this photographer go through the motions and do all this, I start picking it up, and I start thinking, wow, she does really cool, but I think I can do this a little bit differently. I had gotten a camera and I started learning, and I started from ground level, and I went through exposure and aperture and, you know, focal length and depth of field and ISO and every single aspect of it for the next 2 or 3 years. Thousands and thousands of images later, you know, probably 100,000 images. I've then gotten to the point where people notice the work, people respect the work, and I can actually charge people for the work.
Hoorelbeke's baseball career has taken him from coast to coast, and he has used that travel time to capture thoughts and images and memories along the way. He often sees things in a different light than most.
There's a small fishing boat right off the coast of California down by Los Angeles. You see Catalina Island in the background. That day was such, the clouds and the haze were just so low on the water that boat was here, and then as you went off, you see a giant tanker that's out just kind of in between there and Catalina Island, but it's almost like ghostly. It's almost like just hidden in the haze. And to think about the fact that that little fishing boat with 3 guys standing on it, who's fishing in the kelp beds, is probably a 30th the size of that, you know, big tanker out there that's then the 30th the size of Catalina Island right behind it. Just kind of a perspective I saw as I was standing there.
He took this one before a game in Maryland. It's actually 4 shots pieced together in a panorama to catch the feel and the power of that storm rolling in. It still brings back a strong connection to the time and the place for the guys that were there.
It's all about capturing a mood and a feeling. It's not necessarily about taking a snapshot, taking a picture or something. Anybody can take a picture or something. If you look at it and you go, God, that must have been amazing. You know, you can kind of portray that through an image. And a lot of times it just, you know, goes on you know, empty vision. People don't see it, you know. But every now and then you catch that one with people, it just really brings them into it.
At one time, Hoorelbeke took a lot of shots on the baseball diamond, and he has a huge catalog of photos from the field. But recently his taste has turned to 2 wheels, riding and photographing motorcycles. For years, his baseball contract would not allow him to own a Harley, but now he can.
Now that I'm 33 years old, I'm playing independent ball. You know, I'm a responsible adult. I get myself a motorcycle. In doing so, I've found a different aspect of life that these people that I ride with are so just die-hard into it that I bring in the photography aspect. I get them to bring their bikes out. We take pictures of their bikes, because a lot of places I live, like here in Fargo or, you know, in Spokane where I live, you only have until mid-October, and then it freezes and snows. And I take these pictures and I blow them up and I print them out large for them, so that during those 4 or 5 months of the winter when they can't be on their bike, they love to do, they've got a beautiful shot that they can look at and just wait for that snow to melt until they can get out there and do it again. When I started doing these shots for people, they said, hey, before you leave and go play ball, you need to do a picture of me and your dad, as my mom said, me and your dad on our bike. So I went out to, we found a nice old, like a road, and I set up my lights and hit them at the right angle and just kind of made it real moody. And the one I like is the kind of dark and moody one where, you know, my mom's got a serious face, but she thinks she looks too mean. She doesn't like it.
Whether he learned it from his parents or figured it out on his own, Hoorelbeke knows this. Beauty is where you find it, and he finds it everywhere.
With photography, it's, you know, if I can portray it to you guys, then, you know, then I've done my job.
And what about that? For the past 10 years, Hoorelbeke's job has been to play baseball. But at the ripe old age of 34, it might be time to put the bat down and focus on photography full time.
Knowing that as my career is coming to an end, that I have to replace the passion I had for baseball with a passion for something else, and I found it in this.
Hoorelbeke is a great hitter, by the way. 2 years ago, he set a RedHawks record by hitting 29 home runs, and he led the team this year by hitting 15 more. And he does have some artist blood in him. His dad is Peter Hoorelbeke, who went by the name of Peter Rivera as the lead singer for the band Rare Earth. They had a handful of top 40 hits back in the early 1970s. Well, up next on Midco Sports Magazine, you know you're stressed out when you do this to relax. That story next when we return on Midco Sports Magazine.